Please for my prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you again for the opportunity to come together to serve our community, to serve each other. We pray that we pray as always your divine guidance in the direction of this country and our state and this community that we live in. And pray your divine guidance upon this board as we discuss and make decisions that affect us all. Pray as always that you would be with those men and women in harm's way that work so hard and give their self to protect us and our way of life that we've known to come to love. In holy name, we pray these things. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We got a couple sets of minutes and then an addendum to the minutes. Did everybody read them? Any comments, corrections, complaints?
And I'm sorry, I actually have one comment on the February 18th minutes. If we could just add a note after announcements that all witnesses were sworn in mass by, I can't remember if it was Mark or I last month, but whichever one. That's my only comment.
I got one minor but personal change that needs to be made. My name's actually Davis.
Davis?
Yeah, not David. Oh, that's my middle name.
What's your first name? Oh, Adrian. Right. Any other corrections? If not, how about a motion to accept them as corrected?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Then the minutes are accepted as corrected. And then we could proceed to case number 1, which is not going to be presented. Is that right?
Correct.
Case number 15-947.
I'd like to request to remove this from the agenda as they are complying, and I fully expect to close the case tomorrow.
Wonderful.
Okay, thank you.
We like that, yeah. Okay, then it's, yeah.
I'll make a motion to remove it from the agenda.
You don't need to. It's
Don't need to?
gone,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We need a motion, right?
We don't, do we?
Well, since it's on the agenda, it would be clearer if we
Okay.
did have a motion to remove it.
Good. Oh, you made it, and will you second it?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. It has officially been removed from the agenda. Okay, then non-compliance hearings. These are the new policy, right, where we had one meeting where we found people innocent or in violation, and the second meeting where we will, if they're still out of compliance, levy a fine or appropriate action.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And
this-
just
yeah.
to be clear, obviously we don't have any members of the public here today, but these hearings are short. And when we do have members of the public, I will inform them that we're not relitigating the issue of the original violation. It's just whether or not they're in compliance with the order that you guys had entered previously.
Right.
In other words, we're not, when these, we don't hear any new evidence or arguments or anything like that.
No, sir. Just whether or not they're in compliance, whether or not they've fixed the violation that you've
And
already found.
Do they get to discuss that, or do we rely on the code officer's
No,
assessment?
we would give them a short opportunity to present evidence, but it doesn't have to be as
You
lengthy
mean
as the original
to
proceeding.
present
That they've,
arguments for whether or not we fine them and how much? And not,
Yes, sir.
That's kind of
And whether or not they've fixed the
kind of
violation.
a sentencing hearing.
right.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
With that in mind, so far what you've looked over, is that what y'all are looking for at this hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll try the first one and let's see what happens.
And we will, if
Yeah.
anybody
Which is
who's
number
going to
2.
testify, I will go ahead and swear you in now. You just go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you will give before this board will be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, then case number 15-625.
Good evening, Board. Stephanie Manning, Walton County Code Enforcement. This is regarding case number 15-625. Property owner is Gary L. Johnson, mailing address of 1028 Juniper Avenue, Niceville, Florida, 32578. This is regarding parcel ID number 30-1 South-21-41100-013-0050. It's regarding a complaint that came into code enforcement on July 11th of 2015 regarding building without permits. The complaint was received. This case did not come into compliance. It came before the Code Enforcement Board on January 21st of 2016 regarding a shed that was built without permits and was in the setbacks. That's Exhibit 1 will be a copy of the photo that was presented on the date of the last hearing.
Okay.
You accept that exhibit?
Oh, we'll accept it, yes.
The board heard the case on January 21st, 2016, and found that the property was in violation of Section 11.04.02.A regarding building without permits. The final order required the property owner to correct the violation no later than February 21st of 2016, and an administrative fee of $450 was also assessed and required to be paid by February 21st of 2016. Exhibit 2A is a copy of the recorded final order. And Exhibit 2B will be a copy of that final order that was sent to the property owner. They had, for whatever reason, it was not accepted and returned. Mr. Johnson was present at that code board as well. He was aware of what was required by the code board.
How do you know that this was not accepted?
Because we got it back. There's another one. I don't want to jump ahead. If you look at the yellow slip.
Yeah,
now
it says return to sender, that one?
Right, sometimes it's unclaimed, we see no receptacle, we see all kinds of things. There's another one in this particular one, if you skipped ahead, not to get ahead, it's actually refused, where he would not accept the letter.
Okay.
Sometimes they just don't get service on them, sometimes they do return them. For whatever reason, the postmaster did not notate why on this one.
Okay, we'll accept those into evidence.
Mr. Johnson came into the office a few weeks after the Code Enforcement Board hearing to obtain his mobile home permit, which was required in order to have the accessory structure. So he did come in to start the process for getting a primary dwelling to be able to permit the secondary. Unfortunately, as of today, he still has not applied for a permit for that shed. I checked for permits on the 22nd, which was the day after the compliance date, and none had been filed. I've spoke with him a couple times. We spoke with him when we re-inspected. He's still not filed for a permit. And he's actually here at the moment. So I don't know if that's
Fine.
continue on. Does he need a copy of the exhibits?
Yes, if you have one for him.
Does he need to be sworn in?
Yeah. Before he speaks, I'll swear him in. That's fine, you can go ahead. Before he speaks, I'll swear him in.
Mr. Johnson did provide a survey to the planning department when he applied for the mobile home, which showed that the building was out of the setbacks. However, the cantilever decks were still in the setbacks. We spoke a little bit. He got the decks cut off. He brought that part into compliance. At this point, I'm not sure why he's not obtained a permit. It is out of the setback, so that much effort was made. He has pushed forward in the mobile home to get the shed permit, but has not done so yet. Exhibit 3A and 3B are going to be a copy of a notice to appear that was sent to Mr. Johnson for tonight's hearing. That's the one that was marked refused.
I'll accept that into evidence. Do you have an objection to my doing so, Mr. Johnson?
No, sir.
Okay.
Since the letter had not been accepted, I attempted to post the property with the permission of the Code Enforcement Board. Officer Butler and I arrived on the property on March 7th. Shortly after pulling up, we noticed a gentleman in the back. We thought Mr. Johnson was there. We went around to approach him. Unfortunately, it was a neighbor who was looking over the fence. Mr. Johnson then pulled up in the front yard. We actually hand-served him a notice for tonight's hearing. That is gonna be exhibit
Says- Somewhere it says property
4A,
located.
and then exhibit 4B will be an affidavit of service.
Location, address, maybe, okay.
Okay. Do you object to those being introduced as evidence? All right,
And-
then we'll accept them.
4C is gonna be a copy of the shed still on the property on that date of reinspection and hand service.
Stephanie, where exactly is the property?
It's out in Choctaw, Nimrod, off 20, almost at the county line, like it's a rock's throw from the county line. As of this morning, the property is still in violation. No permits have been applied for regarding the mobile home. Exhibit 5 is a photo from this morning showing, correction, no permits have been applied for the shed. There have been permits pulled for the mobile home, but the shed was never applied for.
The permit has been pulled for the mobile home.
Right,
It's
and we
now
explained to
legal.
him he had to get the mobile home in order to get the
Well, I
shed.
remember that.
But he could apply for them at the same time, and we've mentioned that every time he comes to the office to be applying for that, and so far he has not applied for the permit for the shed.
But he's applied for the one for the mobile home.
Yes,
And
sir.
has he been given a permit as well?
He's going through the process. I don't know that he's got the full permit, but he has diligently worked on that, but we're not sure why the shed has not been applied for. It could have been applied at the same time.
Okay.
And that last exhibit would be Exhibit 5 showing today's status.
All right, we're going to accept that into evidence. Then, Mr. Johnson, is that all you have?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, why don't you step up here ahead and be sworn in, and then tell us why you haven't obtained the proper permit?
So you gotta be sworn in?
Yes, sir. Just raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give before this board will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
You bet. The shed permit, I've been working with Mr. Reardon directly on all the process that had happened on this whole thing, and I'm kind of overwhelmed just on the trailer part. And I actually forgot to get that permit on the shed started yesterday, or the day before when I did get the mobile home permit. I do have the full-blown permit. I've been caught up with the septic system, trying to get everything on it to get going, because it's just, there's a lot to do. And I'm worried about having to go out of town for 30 days, and that's been stressing on me, because if I need to go out there, because I found out the water tap hasn't been paid. That was $2,000 there roughly, that I didn't encompass, that having to do the final for the C of O, or all this to come together, to have a place to stay, to get this thing to work. I've been stressing pretty bad on all that. I overlooked the permit on the thing, and I called Mr. Ritter this morning, talked to him briefly, forgot about that, tried to call back, couldn't get a hold of him. He was supposed to call me back today, never did, because I forgot that I didn't get the shed permit coincided with that. I forgot all about it because everything else I had going on with it, it's just been a lot. It's really been a lot. I mean, I had like 19 items just on the mobile home, getting it there. The installer laying down on me, being in jail, not being able to get him there on site, finding somebody licensed, everything I've been doing to try to get this thing to work, because that's because of the licensing and everything involved with doing that. I overlooked that permit, and I'm actually trying to get that, but he didn't call me back this morning, this afternoon after I talked to him, because, there was like in the middle of a pissing match between him and Stephanie. They're telling me to do this and that, and miscommunication between it. I didn't want in the middle of that. I mean, that's too much drama for me right now. I'm trying to handle what I got to handle, and I'm trying to comply as best I can, and I felt that I have to try to do everything that I could do. I've tore off everything that's been asked of me, and I've done what it took to get the trailer over there, and the deal had to work on all that crap. I mean, I've just been overwhelmed with all this stuff, and I'm doing the best I can do with it.
How long would it take you to get the permit?
On the shed, he told me this yesterday that he needed to come out and take a look at it and then go from there. And that's the last I knew about it.
And who is this,
Mr. Reardon, the building inspector.
Bearden?
Bearden or Reardon?
Reardon.
He's what, the building department?
That's, to my knowledge, Billy Reardon.
Billy Bearden.
Bearden, that's Billy
okay.
Bearden.
Okay,
That's
I'm
the
sorry.
building
I'm
department.
sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe I've seen a typo on the name then, because that's what I've been calling him. But I didn't know any difference. So. But I've been working with
When was
him
the last time you actually spoke with him?
this morning.
But he was didn't call you back later. He was supposed to call you.
Yeah, and then he never got back with me. I called back 10 minutes later and it was on hold, and then it went to his voicemail, and I left him a message, call me back, so I know what to do with this, because I knew I had this hearing today, and I need to know what I need to tell that's going on, because I've been working with him hand in hand the last 2 weeks.
You actually do have an application for the shed in or not?
What is it?
A building permit application for the shed.
He told me he will deal with that permit, is what he told me. He says, I'll take care of that when the time comes to take care of it. That's all. I went by what he said. And I jumped through a bunch of hoops just to get the mobile home permit of all the stuff that's entailed to get that going. And I just put it in the window yesterday. And I've been working on the septic. I got the septic tank set. I'm working on the leach system currently, and I had to pull away from that, so I'm late now. The guy's still there digging for the leach because I got an inspection at noon tomorrow, and I'm trying to get the drain field established and get that done so I can pass that and go to the next step. Like I said, I got hit with the water tap thing. The water line's been there. It was pressurized. I didn't realize there was a tap fee involved and that kind of, I've tied up about $6,000 already, and now I don't know where I'm going to get the other $2,000. I'd have to go out and do these 2 jobs up north because it pays good money working for this GC in order to even get the water on, because now the water's going to hold me up on my final C of O. So I don't know what to do. That was unforeseen in my part. I mean, I guess
I'd suggest one thing you don't do is ignore the issue. I mean, it seems
no, I haven't been ignoring it in any sense.
You refused the one notice.
No, I didn't refuse nothing. I have not refused anything. The first I seen her there on my property, and she handed me the notice, and I took it.
No, there was one before that they mailed to you.
I never received anything.
It was marked by, I guess, the postman that refused.
That's the first of my knowledge of that. Because I would not knowingly do anything like that. I'm trying to do the best I can do to keep up with the whole thing here, and I would knowingly not violate. You guys gave me that option, and I've been pursuing it ever since we left here, 60 days ago on that.
Can I ask that?
And
Are you done? Does anybody else have questions for Mr. Johnson?
Not right now.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, why don't you sit down for a second? Let me ask Ms. Manning, or Dave wants to ask a question, or you can just do it from there, yeah.
I just wanted to know, has anyone, I assume you haven't had any discussion with Mr. Bearden about this in the last couple of days?
I did, when he come in the first time with the
No,
short
in the last couple of days, like as of this morning.
Well, it leads up to this. I kept
Okay.
getting told that Mr. Reardon wasn't gonna do this. I gave him the applications twice for the plan review to at least get that started. Because he didn't have to have as much, because he said he could submit it. Billy was gonna take care of the plan since it's north of the bridge. Billy would come out and inspect it. And I'd never heard of that. I did ask Billy, I think it was last week I spoke with Billy, and Billy's like, yeah, but he's still gotta submit everything, and he hadn't submitted everything. Billy's has to get the permit in before he can move forward with inspecting, or at least somebody call and ask. No permits have been applied for, no plan reviews, no inspection requests. Billy said he can't just go out on the guy's property until he calls and asks him or applies for something or makes an initiative. I do believe that he had called Billy, asking him about some of it, but no progress had actually been made.
But Mr. Johnson, you said you had submitted the application today or yesterday, right?
I'm going by what Billy's told me to do, is what I've done. I mean, I didn't submit anything. I got in a pissing match between these two because she said he wasn't communicating with her after I told him she needed to be something
If
set
I
up
were
in
you,
her
I'd kind of
office.
lighten up about that part, and let's.
I'm just, well, I mean, I don't want to get in the middle of it. It was a communication thing.
Gotcha.
And and I contacted him, and he he gave me, it was the best news I had heard over this whole period of everything, because of the building problem and everything. And I've done everything, except the only thing I didn't do the other day when I got there, I should have asked him about that permit, because I showed him he told me to draw up my prints on it, what I had there. And then yesterday, he told me he had to come out and take a look, see what I had built. And that was the last thing he had said at that point. I'd already showed him my prints and stuff way back before that.
Okay.
So, I'm listening to what he's telling me, basically, to help, because all this stuff to go through here is a lot, and I'm trying to take the advice from him and go that route. That's what I've been doing, so.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Johnson or Ms. Manning? Okay, would you sit down and we'll talk about it and we'll
Yes,
figure
Wait,
out.
one more question. Did you state earlier that you had been out of the area for 30 days?
No, I was supposed to leave the 19th to go do a couple Starbucks up north, and that'd leave me out for 30 days.
Obviously.
Pardon?
Yeah.
February? The 19th of February?
This month. See, and I didn't see, my bosses want to know the results tonight, because I told her, I said, I don't know if I can actually make it there to do that. They'd have no superintendent to run these 2 jobs. And I said, I don't know if I can let my stuff sit here for another 30 days idle. I don't know. I won't know anything until tonight. Because I committed previously, but things haven't clicked here right. I mean, my installer ended up being in jail. That cost me an extra week that I couldn't even get him there, to pull it over, to strap it, to block it, all that other stuff. Everything's been messed up. I mean,
All right, so you're waiting on Mr. Bearden to get back in touch with you.
I will call him in the morning because, I mean,
Okay, that's what I'd like to hear.
I wouldn't know, I thought he was aware of the situation when he talked with Stephanie about what was going on with it, and, I mean, to come out and take a look at the place and see what's gonna have to, for the application or whatever. I mean, I know I had to permit both at the same time, but I don't know how that was gonna work,
All right.
as far as what I had to submit to get, that going.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, Dave, you got an opinion here?
Well, I'm willing, I mean, I appreciate the fact he showed up tonight to at least try to explain his side of it. I'm still a little confused on the timelines and everything, but I'm not sure to what degree that matters. I guess I'm inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt, because he is actually communicating with the building officials now to try and get this resolved. So if we would need to give him another 30 days, that would be, to do so, that would be okay with me.
Okay.
How many days till the next meeting?
What's the date here?
About approximately whatever it is, another,
April 21st. So 34
31
days.
days.
Yeah,
third, what, 3 days?
34 days.
Okay.
Robert?
Yeah, I'm reading a letter here that references July 29th, 2015. So how long has this been going on trying to get a permit to do this work? Anybody tell me, how long has it been going on?
6 or 7 months.
Pardon me?
Probably about 6 or 7 months anyhow.
Can you speak into the mic so I can hear
Probably
you?
about 6 or 7 months anyhow.
Yeah. Stephanie?
Stephanie?
The case has been open for quite a few months, however, no permits have been applied. When it come in January, that was the first step of actually getting anywhere. They had issues with surveys and this and that. That's why we were asking for him to at least submit a plan review. He can't even go submit to Billy until he does his plan review. And this whole time, there's never even been a plan review submitted for the planning department to say, yeah, now you can move on to planning.
Sydney, we can no longer, we used to do things like, all right, if he doesn't submit the plan in a week, then the fine's gonna start then. We can't do that anymore, right?
What we could do, sorry, you guys, if you could either, first of all, continue the non-compliance hearing to next month. That's one
Right.
option. Or you could find him not in compliance, set a fine amount,
And a
but
given date?
hold it, I guess, in abeyance to a certain date. And if he comes into compliance or fixes it by that date, the fines won't accrue. However, if he doesn't, they will have started from the date from today.
And would that date need to be after the next code meeting?
No, sir, we wouldn't
We
be
can just
required
pick
to
any
have
day we
another
like.
hearing, no.
Okay. Well, it seems to me that that's our angle, right?
This
It's like-
administrative fine that I guess was laid on him on January 21st, has he paid that fine?
I'm not sure.
No.
Have you, Mr. Johnson, have you paid $450 as an administrative cost?
As a fine,
Well,
I'm
it's not really
sorry.
a fine, it's the
I
cost of
paid,
the hearing.
I did pay some money, yeah.
$450?
I think that was what it was. But I didn't know it was for the administrator. I thought it was part of the, to start the whole process on whatever. But what I had to question was, do there have to be 2 review things submitted for the plan review? Because I already just got through that. And that just happened here a few weeks back.
I can't answer that question, can you?
I
That
know.
was the one that met with you that day?
Yeah.
That was for your mobile home, and then that's when I give you the
Well, see, I-
packet for your shed. The building permit shed, and Jason explained, yeah, that has to go on the other one.
Well, wasn't aware that there was 2 of them had to be done on that, see, till just right now. See, I'm a little confused on that now, so,
I'm totally confused. All right, Zane, Robert, you got any
I mean,
opinion?
if I'd have known that, that would already be, I'd already.
I'm not sure I heard the answer.
I'm not sure I did either.
Yeah. Stephanie?
Jennifer, have you received, I'm sorry, Jennifer would normally be the person who collect those fees. Okay.
I'm sure he's probably referring to the,
We usually don't know about it unless they walk it down the clerk of court.
Oh, I'm sorry,
We
okay.
take those, and we usually have no way of knowing if they paid
Okay.
unless they bring us the receipt.
Okay.
Has the second story been taken off the shed? I'm just looking at, from the bottom.
We talked about that, and last I knew, the shed stayed as it was. It had to be permitted with the mobile home on that last hearing. And, because I asked about that, and I asked about that way back, and it was like, no, you can't do that, because you're in violation already, you can't do that. And
Okay.
that was the first thing that happened on it.
It just
'cause
looks
I was
smaller
gonna
in the
do that.
photograph.
Pardon?
It looks smaller to me. Maybe it's the distance. But have you've moved it since we met?
Yeah, I moved it 40-some feet to get it to, where to be in the setbacks, and submitted that with the setbacks and all, I guess I didn't realize the deck was an issue, because when
they
they
don't
surveyed it,
recommend
he
it.
never marked those pins,
I don't think
because
they
he didn't have to
recommend
mark the corners, because it wasn't touching the ground. But I didn't know there was a thing on the cantilever thing, so I actually tore the deck off that I put on there. I mean,
How much more time do you think you need to complete all of these administrative?
well, I appreciate what you're doing here. I mean, because really I'm on the gun here. I'm in a tight spot. I've already committed to this general contractor to do these 2 stores, and I'll be gone for 30 days. Last thing I want to do is leave this set idle, because I've been in a 30-foot camper now almost 2 years, and I'm eager to try to get in the trailer. And I just, got hit with this tap fee that I had no knowledge of, that's really devastated me. I have no way of getting that kind of money together at this point, because I've already spent almost $6,000 to get everything to where it's at right now. And now now I find out I can't even get a C of O. because I can't get the tap
When
fee.
do you need to leave to do the 2 jobs up
I was supposed
north?
to leave Monday, and they gave me 2 more days extra late time. I was supposed to leave Sunday night. And I've been scrambling, I've been working more than 16 hours a day trying to get this all to come together, and it's,
Okay, I appreciate it. What if we did something like, he's got a couple days, right? He's got tomorrow anyway to come in. If he came in tomorrow and he filled out all the paperwork to get the first steps of getting the permit for the shed, and then he's got to leave town for 30 days, are we willing to wait that 30 days? I know what you're thinking. It's
We
been a
waited
long
this long.
time. It's been a long time, right?
Yeah.
But the guy's obviously made some effort to, comply. He may not have done everything he
But I
needed
still
to.
have a little trouble with that. I don't see where the effort to comply was.
Well, he's moved the shed, he cut off the decks, he did,
But the issue is he needs a permit. He doesn't
Right.
need to move the shed, he doesn't need a hammer or anything, he just needs to get a permit.
well, but
There
in
was a-
order
there
to
was a
get the
boundary
permit, he had to
dispute,
move the
see.
shed and take off the decks.
there's a big problem with the boundaries out there on the survey.
The
that tied
big
up a lot of
problem
time.
is he started building the shed without a permit. Is that the problem?
We did a lot of things
It
that
was
he,
under the footage, see, at first.
Pardon me?
It was under the footage required at first, under 400 square feet, until I put the second floor in it. That's what got.
Stephanie, can you help me out here with the rule? Is the rule, I first get a permit and then I build a shed, or do I build a shed and then go try to get a
There's no permit
permit?
required under 400 feet.
I'm asking Stephanie.
You are supposed to get a permit first, but they do.
Pardon me?
Permits come first typically, but they do it.
So he should have had a permit before he ever bought the boards.
Well, is what he's claiming is,
No.
is the 400 square feet, the threshold for the
It
permit?
is, however, it still would not have been permittable because he built it in the right of way and there was an accessory structure without a primary dwelling. Even if it would have been 10 square feet, it still wouldn't have been allowed down there.
See, I was unaware of the dwelling thing when I built it. And that's where the other glitch that got me on not being able to have it there, but I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
I mean, it
Mr.
wasn't on
Johnson,
the
I don't mean to
website.
interrupt you, but we're not going to re-argue the case here tonight.
Right.
It's just to determine the fine amount. Okay.
So you've moved it, you've gotten a trailer, and you've moved the trailer there, and you've made efforts to get permits for the trailer after you moved it there. But, I mean, should you get a permit for the trailer before you put the trailer on the property?
Yeah.
too?
he's got the
It
permit
had-
Got the permit
Pre-inspection.
for the
for the trailer. He's good for the trailer now. Now he's got to do the shed.
How much does a permit cost?
I don't know, I know the planner uses like 65, somewhere around there.
Not much money.
To at least start in the planning department. I don't know what the building department charges, but to at least open the front door and get your foot in, it's 45 or 65 for his plan review.
How much?
45 or 65, it depends on what all they add in. I know his first one was 65, but that may have had clearing on it.
And even for a shed now, you have to go for a planning review
To
before you
make
can get
sure
a
that
building
don't
permit?
Put it in the right of way or that you have a primary dwelling. That's to keep, it's to prevent
This
code
from happening.
cases happening. yes.
Right. So if he gets the planning permit, then he has to apply to the building department.
Right.
Well, his problem is he's not going to be around here.
Well, can he, is that something he can do tomorrow?
If he has all his documents, he'll have to have a survey, which I know he did have a survey that showed the shed on it. That's gonna be up to him if he has everything.
And you're definitely leaving town Sunday night, Mr. Johnson?
I'm committed to it, yes, unless there's things here that I have to deal with, and then I'm not gonna be able to make it. I mean, I have to let them know first thing in the morning what I gotta do. That's where I'm at with it. I mean,
And how long will you be out of town?
for 4 weeks. I'll be back on the 19th of April.
Is there anything out there that's a safety issue? I mean, is it?
Not that I've blatantly seen. I'm not a code or building inspector though, but everything's back on his property based on his
Is
survey.
there any way, can we word a motion based on a good faith effort to move forward?
If we're going to do that, we need to give him a continuance on the compliance hearing and have him come back in a month. If we're going to ask for a good faith effort.
And if he were to come back in a month and he hadn't done anything, could we then retroactively fine him?
Yes, sir. You guys can retroactively fine him even tonight.
We could
from
get
the
back to July if we wanted
Why-
to.
Well, no, from the compliance date that
Okay.
you set
Why
at
can't
the
we do
January
that right
hearing.
now? Why can't we just start fining him right now? And if he gets it cleared up in 30 days, he doesn't pay the fine.
Well, that's what we're saying.
Can we forgive the fine like that?
Yes, we could do that, or you guys could find him not in compliance tonight and go ahead and set a fine amount, hold the fine in abeyance for a number of days.
Okay.
And if he comes into compliance, he would contact code enforcement, they'd inspect the property, issue a compliance order, and no fines would accrue.
Well, what if we did something like this? He's got to come in tomorrow and apply for the permit for the shed. And then we'll give him 45 days, because he's been gone for 30 days. And he comes back, and if in 15 days he's properly permitted
Or
with the
in the
building
process.
department, or substantially along in the process, then we don't levy the fine. But if in fact he didn't do that, then there's a fine of X number of dollars that begins tomorrow.
Yeah, I would say maybe with like $45 a day until he gets it done. And if he gets it done before the next meeting, we forgive the fine. If not, he pays $45 a day.
Yeah, but he
Sound like
won't
a
make
motion
it by
to
the
me.
next,
Pardon me?
he won't make it by the next meeting.
He might if it costs him $45 a day.
Well, he's not gonna be here, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of
We-
tie his hands,
We have to
yeah.
give him at least the 45 days, because he needs a couple weeks after he
I
goes.
don't mind $45 a day for 45 days.
I like that, okay,
That's
okay, and
another
then
motion.
if he does come into compliance.
Yeah,
or
we forgive it,
make-
but there should be a whole $450 for our time tonight.
At the
Okay.
May meeting, yeah.
Okay, let me just make sure we have it clear.
Continue it to the May meeting.
Go ahead, do it. Make it. make
Okay,
it-
so I'm
She
sorry.
can't make the motion, but she could state it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just hoping to clarify. So, Mr. Sullivan, is your motion to continue the hearing to the May meeting? Or is it to go ahead and determine that he is non-compliant, fine him $45 a day, however, hold that fine in abeyance for 45 days?
Well, 60 days, I guess, because we won't have another meeting.
Well, we can give him 45 days, but.
Yeah, we can give him 45.
and-
Yeah,
Yes.
And then there'll be 2 weeks
Right.
together.
All right. Yeah,
Right.
keep going.
Okay.
Yes, I think that's a good.
Okay, so $45 a day, hold the fines in abeyance for 45
45
days. And if he comes into compliance at 45 days, no fines will accrue.
Right,
Yeah, it
Okay,
could be
now-
as high as $250 a day.
I'm sorry.
it could be, yeah,
It could be, yes, sir.
okay.
Does-
Yeah.
did- does he
Does
know
somebody
that?
want to say so moved?
Well, we're not finished yet.
Where's
Is the
the
administrative fee for tonight also?
No, that's a
That's
separate,
a second.
separate.
Separate, okay.
Yes, sir.
So moved.
All right.
Okay.
Second,
Did
Did you
anybody?
get that, Jennifer?
So, I guess.
Mr. Sullivan?
And Mr. Lovell seconded.
Okay.
Do you guys want to discuss that, or just?
And we'll continue, my question is, we'll bring this back up on the May meeting.
On the May meeting, it'll come up, right?
Yeah. As you guys worded the motion, we wouldn't have to bring it back up. I mean, code enforcement can give you a report
Oh, good.
at the
We
May
need some
meeting.
closure by now on
Yes,
Well,
sir.
they'll tell us, yeah,
it.
At the May meeting, yes.
okay.
And then if any fines accrue, Mr. Johnson is welcome to
Well, they'll
inform.
accrue, they just may not be actually levied, right? Or-
Right, yes, sir. But if for whatever reason it takes him longer than the 45 days, he could always ask for forgiveness from
Or
this
another,
board or a
right.
reduction in the fine amount.
Right. Okay, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All those opposed? It carries. Okay, Mr. Johnson, you understand what happened? Tomorrow you better get your act together, get over there and apply for the permit for do the paperwork for the planning review,
Right.
okay? Then you've got 45 days, after you come back, you'll have 2 weeks to get the building permit.
Or at least to get it started substantially.
Yeah, at least to apply
Which-
for it.
Which if I'd known that, I would already had this going, but this is my first knowledge of it, honestly.
Well, that's why
fine.
we're giving, that's
That's
why
why we're being
I
nice to you.
understand, I just,
Yeah.
a little confusion here on this.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not willingly doing this just to.
Well, look, Miss Manning wants to get you in compliance, so you ask her any question you got and listen to what she says, and you'll get through this.
and we do too. That's why we're giving you this second or
And I
whatever chance.
appreciate
But
that.
we need you to pay attention to it, is what we're saying.
Well, I'm doing the best I can. Like I said, I must have missed that part.
Well, we might need you to do a little bit better.
Right, I got you.
All right, you, Mr. Sullivan, you wanted to address the matter of the $450.
Yes, well, I think we should levy an administrative fee of $450 to cover the cost of this evening.
Anybody seconded?
Can we
I'll
discuss?
second, I'll second.
Yeah, all right, it's been moved and seconded, but please, say something.
I'll move a second.
Dave already did. Made by Mr. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Lovell. Okay, now you can say what you want to say.
When were you thinking that would need to be paid?
What?
When do you think he would need to pay that $450?
Right away. That's.
Yeah, Stephanie, we have to, right?
The only problem I would see with that, if you are giving him time, and this is only in fairness, is if he's not gonna be in, that final order may not be processed by the time he comes in, he may not be able to pay it tomorrow. So I would only recommend that you give him time to get back if you're giving him time to get the permit, because if he comes down tomorrow
Okay.
before he leaves, it may not be available at the courthouse, or at the clerk of court.
Right, okay.
Well,
So she's suggesting we
Can we
delay
modify
that
the
four hundred and fifty till when?
45 days.
45 days.
But we're not gonna hear this, right? This may just get dismissed.
Well, I don't care how
The
long it takes to
administrate-
process it, I think the deal.
Oh, you're just gonna give him 45 days to pay?
Yeah.
He has to pay for the proceedings, that's,
But you're gonna give him 45 days to do so?
I'll give them whatever they can give them, but I mean, the point is,
Okay. Okay, I didn't understand.
it's not a free,
At the
it's
end,
not a
it's
free
just
ride.
giving 45 days.
Yeah.
That way he'll have his job done.
Right, yeah, he'll have enough money hopefully to do it. Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Oh, all right, thank you. We'll move on to,
Make sure he.
yeah.
This guy's been
Mr. Johnson, do you understand everything that happened
You're
here?
finding me $450,
It's
right?
not really a fine, I know it is, but it isn't. It's an administrative fee, because we've all heard this now here twice, okay? And although some of us work for no money, some of us get paid to do this, so
Right.
we're paying their salary and the expense of being here.
And what's the time frame on it then?
You got 45 days to pay $450.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
45 days to pay $45.
Boy, we're in the 45s here in a big way. All right. Let's move on then to case number 3. A non-compliance hearing about 14-264.
So you're done. That's it? That's it?
You're good. You're out of here.
This case is regarding case.
Donald Trump.
Hey, I don't know, no. That's the worst thing anybody said to me, Robert. I said, you're out of here, and he said, you sound like Donald Trump.
Get him right.
Okay, you're up.
Regarding case number 14-264, John D. and Andrea Zarzasti of 24 River Circle, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, 32459, parcel ID 28-2 South-20-33410-000-0010. This complaint was received on May 21st of 2014 regarding building without permits and junk and debris. The case come before the code board on January 21st of 2016. Exhibit 1 will be a copy of the photos that were presented on the date of that hearing that shows the junk and debris and the partially completed roof.
I'll accept it into evidence.
The board heard the case again on January 21st, 2016, and found that the property was in violation of Section 11.04.02.A and Section 5.07.08 regarding junk and debris. The final order required that the property owners correct the violations no later than February 21st of 2016, and an administrative fee of $450 was assessed to also be paid by February 21st of 2016. Exhibit 2A is a copy of that final order, and Exhibit 2B is a photo of that final order returned.
I can't get to 2B here. Oh, okay. We'll accept that.
I checked for permits on February 22nd, 2016, and found that none had been applied for regarding the building without permits. Exhibit 3A is going to be a copy of the notice to appear for tonight's hearing regarding no permits and junk and debris. That'll be Exhibit 3A. 3B will be a copy of the return receipts. That was the first time we got service back for them, so the next exhibit, which will be Exhibit 4, is actually going to be the pictures from the day that Lonnie and I went and served the notice. Since the previous 2 years of notices had never been accepted, we assumed this one won't get accepted, so once we dropped it in the mail, we went out and hand-served shortly after. Exhibit 4 is a photo from that day that we were on the property showing the junk and debris still in place. Exhibit 5 will be a copy of that same letter that was sent out that we hand-served to them, along with a service, an affidavit of service where we served a John Carter for both John D. Zarzasti and Andrea Zarzasti. The junk and debris was still in place and the permits still had not been obtained at that time. So they actually received 2 notices for tonight's hearing, one
That's
via
why
mail.
the 2 exhibit files.
Right.
Okay, we'll accept all those into evidence.
As of today's date, there's still not been any permits pulled. The junk and debris is still on the property as seen in Exhibit 6. I apologize that the photos aren't the greatest. It was storming this morning, again, when I went out there to reinspect. As of today, I've also had no contact with anyone on the property other than a Devin Black, which we hand-served for the previous hearing, and John Carter, which we served for this hearing. I've had no contact with either Zarzasti, and I don't believe JC ever did in the 2 years previously regarding the case.
Okay, and we'll accept those into evidence as Exhibit 6. You never made a recommendation for a fine, did you?
I was just going to ask her, can we still go ahead and do a recommendation? I didn't do one on the last one.
No, yeah, you guys are welcome to make your recommendation, but obviously the board can set the fine amount.
Considering the 2 years that this case is going on, staff is recommending $250 per violation, one for building without permits and one for junk and debris for the property with a lien on the property. Compliance date of 30 days, which would be April 16th of 2016.
Well, actually, we've already set the compliance date, so the fine would start
Today.
That's
today,
right.
or you guys can backdate it to the date of compliance.
To the date of what?
To the compliance date, which you said in January.
Which was February 21st.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, the date in, previously into
Yes,
which
sir.
it should have come into compliance.
Yes, sir.
Since it's
Either
been
is
2 years,
acceptable.
staff is requesting $250 a day per violation from February 21st, and also another administrative fee of $450. Do I need to read in the clause about the foreclosure?
I'm sorry.
The foreclosure, do I need to read in that?
I don't know. What's this clause about the foreclosure?
Where the county can foreclose within 3 months? Or is that
Oh.
okay to be on the final order? Do we
No,
need
that's
to read
fine.
that in?
It'll be in the final order. That's fine. You
Okay.
don't have to read it.
What is that?
Is this house
It's
occupied?
just in
Yes,
in
sir.
the order that we can
But not by
foreclose
the
the
owner.
property.
From what we're understanding, yes, both the
foreclose the
Devin
lien
Black
on
that
the
I
property.
served for the first notice and the John Carter, which I served, Lonnie and I served a few weeks ago. He stated he was the son of Mr. Zarzasti and that Mr. Zarzasti both times was at work. Neighbors also pointed out which vehicles he drove, which we had seen there. We've never made contact with either one of them.
Who owns the black car in the picture?
We're told he does, and also another pickup. Usually it's the car that's there. But we've never spoke with any of them. I don't believe JC ever made contact with any of them physically.
Stephanie, are you allowed to do things like check utility bills and see, you know?
No, sir. I do know the tax roll still shows them there, and they're accepting their taxes there.
Okay.
All right.
So how much does he owe us right now?
Well, he could
I
owe
don't
us
know that he
nothing,
does.
or could owe us,
Huh?
he could owe us nothing, or he could owe us,
250 times.
no,
whatever.
500,
500, right, times
because you got him on 2 counts
February
for,
21st till now.
and that's 4 days short of 30, so 26 times 500, that's a couple dollars.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is another big bill we're gonna forgive in the end if we don't.
Well, the guy's
No,
obviously
that's
not got
what
the
she's
money
saying,
to
it
pay
will
it.
foreclose on, it, right? I mean, is that's part
Unless,
of it?
unless it's a homestead property.
Oh, that's true.
And then what happens? That the liens just keep on growing?
It could be difficult to foreclose, yes. Yes, sir.
So-
But the fines keep on accruing.
Yeah, but I
They
mean,
do.
come on, it isn't gonna take but 2 months and the place is upside down.
All right.
They'd have to hire an
Already
attorney
after.
if, to defend a foreclosure effort, if they wanted to keep it.
No, sir. Mr. Davis and I would handle that.
Not us, they would if they wanted to keep it, if they wanted to keep.
Yes, sir. Or they could represent themselves in a foreclosure proceeding.
You got your phone there, what's 26 times 500? Oh, it's easy, it's
26,
$13,000.
$13,000,
Yeah. Whoa, well, that would get his attention. Well, somebody want to make a motion? Just, I guess the only thing is,
I would, I just don't know what to say.
I'll make a motion. I move we accept staff's recommended fine of $250 a day retroactive to.
per count?
Per violation, retroactive to the compliance date that we have already set, or as of the compliance date that we have already set, which is February 21st.
Second.
All right.
I don't like people.
And just to be clear, as part of that motion, you're also finding that they're non-compliant with your previous order.
I thought we already did that part.
Well,
Yeah, it's still not compliant, correct,
Okay.
right, still not.
Oh, we need to state that first.
yes, sir.
We'll
But
put
that's,
that at the first of my motion.
Well, Dave, you're usually the more lenient.
Well, I mean, I'm lenient when people show up and actually pay attention to this. Guy's been going for 2 years. I think we need to.
Do we need to
Yeah.
do anything, or
Sorry,
if
your
we find him in
attention.
non-compliance, does the fine keep rolling? The previous one?
there hasn't been a previous one, Mr. Sullivan.
There's been
This
no
is-
fine.
This is the first one.
All right, well, we'll fix that
We can
tonight.
put a
Okay,
cap on
talk me out of it. You want to show
No,
compassion?
hey,
it. Do you want to put a cap on it before we reconsider?
no.
You want to show the kinder general side
The
of the
value of
board?
the house.
Well, I would say, do I or don't
You
I?
can. I can be swayed.
Well, look, the man's obviously no millionaire, okay?
Well,
So
yeah, I agree.
whether we put a fine of $6,500 a month or $13,000 a month is kind of, doesn't make a whole lot of difference because he's not going to pay it.
Well, my alternate motion would have been to make the fines start as of today, but I don't think that's going to get his attention either.
I'd go along with that one. Look, if he suddenly
All
realizes
right, then
he's
I'll
going to make
amend my
500.
motion. I'll amend my motion to start the $500 per day fine for the 2 violations.
Today.
Of course, preface
Tomorrow.
that, he is still not in compliance on both counts. And with the fines accruing as of, should it be today? I guess today.
Or is it tomorrow? We can do it today, right?
Today would be fine.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Today, which is March 17th.
You seconded the original?
I'll unsecond the first one and
Second the
this
second one. All right. Is that sufficiently Robert-like to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
If you get over $5,000, I think, then it really gets in.
Yeah, I can't
Just,
see that. If you couldn't
you know.
fix the roof in 2 years, you'd
Right,
think he's
so-
probably not in a position to pay.
Yeah,
All right.
all right, we're good.
All right.
I
So
second-
all those in
second
favor?
motion.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. You got it then? $500 a day starting today.
And we've already, how about the administrative fee? Do we need to do that again?
I'm sorry. What was administrative fee? You can impose an additional administrative fee. Just so you know, staff does have to pay for the postage and the notice. So, I mean, that is something to take into account, but it would be up to you whether or not to impose an
We've already
administrative fee.
imposed one, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so-
Yeah, if there's
$7.
expense involved, we don't want to do an additional slap in the face, so.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's like 500 a day, right? and 450. Okay,
Unless
so
there's a good reason to do it.
I don't
I-
see that it's gonna buy us any more, well, it'll buy some more stamps, but hopefully you guys got the
Charge
budget.
$450 to pay for the girl's time.
Okay,
If we ever
so
get it.
Yeah, right.
Because we're done
We
with
never get it.
we're done with that one.
We owe them
So
a lot of
let's go
money.
on then to Terry Gandy, case number 15-847. This is harder than it looks. This is harder than it looks.
Oh, this one again?
This is case 15-847, Terry E. Gandy of 5001 Meadow Oaks Drive, Nolanville, Texas, 76559, regarding parcel number 24-3 South, 1925800000040 for 37 Palmyra Way. The complaint was originally received on September 29, 2015, regarding building without permits. This case come before the Code Board on January 21st, 2016, and was found in violation. Exhibit number 4-1 is a copy of the photo from that compliance date. We did not have to go back out and re-inspect since it was built without permits.
Well, I'll accept that into evidence.
The board heard the case on January 21st, 2016, and found that the property was in violation of section 11.04.02.A regarding building without permits. The final order required the property owner to correct the violation no later than February 21st of 2016, and an administrative fee of $450 was also to be paid on February 21st, 2016. Exhibit 2A is a copy of the certified recorded copy of that final order. Exhibit 2B will be a green card and return receipt showing that they received a copy of that final order.
Okay, we'll accept those into evidence.
I checked for permits on February 22nd of 2016, the day after the compliance date, and found that none had been obtained. A notice to appear was sent, which will be Exhibit 3. Exhibit 3A is a copy of the notice. 3B is a copy of the return receipt showing that it was received and signed for.
Okay,
I have not spoke with Mr. Gandy until yesterday. Our assistant Jennifer received a copy of a letter and what appears to be a contract. That's going to be Exhibits 4. There should be 3 pages of that exhibit. The first one is the letter that was faxed in stating that his wife had been in the hospital and that he was working with a contractor and it fell through. I'll let you guys read that letter real quick. And both of those are going to be Exhibits 4.
okay, and we'll accept them into evidence.
Just to clarify, that last hearing was January 21st. As you see, he did sign this contract a week and a half later on February 1st. I say that because I do believe that Mr. Gandy was trying to make an initiative, which is going to lead me to my next point. I actually called this contractor and spoke with Matt Williams, who was the salesman, and then to Joseph Morales, who was the owner of this company, and both said that they have been working with Mr. Gandy, that they had not got out there yet because the typical architect had been taking 30 days. With everything coming up, it's actually taken them 60 or more days. And that's why they had not gotten out there, that he did pay a down deposit, and they do believe in good faith that he was trying to move forward. He's just waiting on them.
Okay, we'll accept those two into evidence. But do you have a recommendation then?
Actually, I do.
I kind of figured you would.
I was
yeah.
going to recommend that we do, especially with Mr. Johnson, that we give Mr. Gandy 30 days, since I have personally spoke with the contractor who stated that they're the reason it's held up. I do believe that Mr. Gandy is trying to come into compliance. I would recommend us give him 30 days to finish his drawings and submit those plans. After that, I would suggest $250 a day until the property is brought into compliance. And that's just staff recommendation.
Okay. Do any of you have questions for Ms. Manning?
No.
Okay, Dave's willing to make her
Except
recommendation.
I preface it again with he find that he is still not in compliance.
Okay, so you move that he's not in compliance and that we give him
An
until the,
additional 30 days.
to come into compliance or
Compliance.
a fine of $250 a day. All right, made by Mr. Lovell, seconded by
I'll second that.
Mr. Wilson. Okay, any discussion? If not, a vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Okay, one more. Matthew Gage, case number 15-731.
Good evening, Lawrence Butler, Code Enforcement. As of today, I have not received confirmation that Mr. Gage received the notification to appear tonight. So I would request that we continue this to the next Code Enforcement meeting.
I'm sorry, to repeat that, you have, as of today, you have not received?
Have
any-
not received notice that he accepted the notice to appear
Okay.
tonight.
And
So,
just to speak for Lonnie, sorry to jump in, we're still working out the kinks with these second hearings, and this was something we discovered an issue with. As you guys might remember, Mr. Gage lives in New Hampshire. That's where all the notices were sent. He wasn't at the hearing in January. We should have probably, at the January hearing, gone ahead and asked for permission to post in case he didn't accept notice.
Right.
But we didn't think of that at the time. So now in the future, we've worked out that kink. But what we're going to have to do, I guess, is continue the hearing so we can either post the property or get proper.
right, that leads
Proper
me into my
notice.
next. I was going to request permission to post the notice to appear for
Right.
this property.
Is that one of those right here,
I don't
15-1084?
think it's on the,
It's not on the notice,
Oh,
but,
okay.
but Lonnie can ask for that tonight if you guys would be inclined. And this was my fault. I didn't even think of it before the
I didn't think of it
January meeting.
either. He had accepted every other letter I
Right.
sent him for the entire time, and then when this came up,
He didn't accept the letter.
didn't accept the letter.
So what we're
That's-
going to do from
He's
here
got
on
a
out
clever
is
lawyer.
if somebody's not at the first hearing,
Yeah.
we're going to go ahead and ask for permission to post that day. If they are at the hearing, the code board officers are going to have their notice ready to just hand it to them that night.
Okay.
So hopefully that'll solve the problem in the future.
Okay.
Good idea. So, we got two, so we need to make a motion to,
Continue the
Continue.
hearing and ask and permission to post as well.
And you'll make that motion?
oh, well, unless somebody else wants to.
No, it's okay.
I move that we continue the hearing as requested by Officer Anderson.
And will one of you guys second it?
I'll second.
Mr. Wilson seconds it. Okay?
No discussion.
Mr. Sullivan, you look like
No.
you're, no,
I'm fine.
okay. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Okay, then, Ms. Manning, you're going to give us two requests to post the property.
Actually,
Oh,
did we,
and I'm sorry,
I would also like to request permission to post for this property
Oh, yeah, I'm
for
sorry.
the next
Okay.
code
15-731.
Right, okay. Somebody give him a motion.
I move that we give the officer a permission to post on case number 15-731.
Second.
Second by Mr. Lovell. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you got it.
Thank you.
My first permission to post is going to be for case number 15-1084. We received a complaint regarding building without permits on West Mitchell Avenue. When I arrived on the property, they were building a large barn / garage. It is in the setbacks. We issued a stop work order, spoke with the property owners, have never heard from them again. We did send a notice to appear, or excuse me, a notice of violation to the property owners. They did not accept it. We're requesting to post a notice of violation as well as a notice to appear if needed.
As the chairman, can I make a motion?
you
So
can
moved.
pass the gavel.
I move that we allow this to be posted.
Second.
Made by
All
Mr.
in
Stein,
favor?
seconded by
Oh,
Mr.
sorry.
Sullivan. Oh, sorry, no, go, you do
I
it.
got it.
Yeah.
We had a motion made by Mr. Stein, seconded by Mr. Sullivan to post the property. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Yeah, give me the gavel. Okay, Okay, what's the second one?
I didn't want to do the next one.
I might, it depends on which one it is.
The next one is case number 15-1070. I sent a notice of violation regarding a fence that was built in the right-of-way. She did not accept that notice. For requesting permission to post a notice of violation and notice to appear should the county staff have a problem getting her to remove her fence before they remove it.
Where's the fence?
Santa Rosa Street.
Where is it?
Santa Rosa Street,
Oh.
Indian woman. Ultimately, the county will remove it, but we're trying to get notice to her that we're gonna remove it if she doesn't. So that's the urgency there.
Okay.
Right, I make a motion that we
Post it.
authorize posting the property.
Okay. Mr. Lovell and Mr. Wilson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Reichert, you're going to give us a couple.
First request to post is for case 16-1099, addressed to Inlet Beach Commons. Sent a notice of violation with a compliance date of February the 8th, 2016. Sent certified mail, was signed and received on January 13th of 2016. Reinspection on February the 25th revealed the sign was unchanged. Notice to appear for the code board meeting for tonight was sent certified mail but was returned unopened. So request to post the property to appear at the April 21st code board meeting.
Okay. Mr. Wilson?
I'll move to
Allow them.
do that posting and serving and
Okay.
paperwork.
I'll
Mr.
second the
Sullivan,
motion.
all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, one more.
Okay. Case 16-1107, addressed to Martin Gayo for building permits and building setback requirements. The notice of violation was sent certified mail with a compliance date of March the 10th, but it was returned not deliverable as addressed, and that was what was on the property appraiser's website. So I request to post to the property.
Okay.
So moved.
Mr. Sullivan makes the motion. Mr. Wilson seconds it, and we'll vote on it. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, you got permission.
Thank you very much.
Any other business? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, we are adjourned.
Thank you guys for your patience with our new procedures with the second
I'm
hearing.
sure I like this.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, but remember that guy who was here for a short while, though, who was going to tell us how to run the world?